in the funny farm. I don't need anybody or anything.
The book was called Trash, but broke records on the bestseller list.
All I know how to do is take off my clothes.
The film was blasted by critics, but became a box office blockbuster.
It's a fashion show, it's a musical, it's a Hollywood expose, it's a horror movie, it's everything you can want in a movie.
That little whore makes me feel 9 feet tall.
But behind the on-screen saga of drug abuse and debauchery was a real-life story of starlets desperate to succeed and a superstar struggling to keep her place in the spotlight.
There are 20 others ready to step into your place.
High drama, low blows, and hitting the bottom. On Backstory, Valley of the Dolls.
You've got to climb Mount Everest to reach the Valley of the Dolls. You stand there, waiting for the rush of exhilaration, but it doesn't come. And the feeling of loneliness is overpowering.
In 1967, Valley of the Dolls shocked the world with a splashy and flashy expose of Hollywood's dark side.
Sure, I take off. I gotta get some sleep.
Audiences were bowled over by its over-the-top drama.
What are you looking at?
And its eye-popping mix of the glamorous and absurd.
It's really camp.
A camp movie is a movie that's so hilariously over the top that you can't believe it wasn't a comedy. Valley of the Dolls was not at all intended to be a camp movie, and that's the best kind of camp. Something that's not trying to be over the top and hilariously bad. It just is.
The whole world loves me!
It all began in 1965, when New York social butterfly and failed actress Jacqueline Suzanne sat down at her typewriter and pounded out a novel about 3 young women with big show business dreams. Valley of the Dolls drew on the author's own experiences as a struggling actress and the stars that she met through her husband, press agent Irving Mansfield. The book was stuffed with scandal, drug abuse, and sex.
I've grown up with show business. I've seen people come starry-eyed, and I've seen them hope to climb Mount Everest, as I call it, which is the top. And I've seen many of them go into the Valley of the Dolls.
Dolls, of course, were drugs, little pills that you took. She knew the people she was writing about, movie stars, Broadway stars, and she also knew about dolls, that particular kind of doll.
Despite scathing reviews, the tawdry tale became a guilty pleasure across the country, hitting #1 on the New York Times bestseller list.
Well, it was a great book.
It was a fantastic book. I thought it was rather unpleasant, but I couldn't stop reading it.
Couldn't call it dirty. It's the way people are today.
It also turned a 47-year-old unknown into the world's most famous writer.
I'm going to write the way I want to write. And I want to show I can go both sides of the street. I can write funny, and I can write serious, and I have this to say.
In all her poochy decadence and her big mouth, she showed women that they could do what they desired to do, no matter what, at any cost.
Adding to the book's notoriety were rumors that the characters were thinly disguised versions of some of Hollywood's most legendary stars.
It was fairly well known by a lot of people that the character of Neely was indeed Judy Garland, and Helen Lawson, the really tough Broadway star, that had to be Ethel Merman.
During the early 1960s, Suzanne's long-standing admiration for Broadway superstar Ethel Merman had mushroomed into a friendship that bordered on obsession.
There was even one evening when Jackie tried to break down Ethel's front door, and Ethel had to call security. Jackie Suzanne got her revenge finally in Valley of the Dolls, when she portrayed Ethel Merman as Helen Lawson, this monster.
It didn't take long before Suzanne's stinging expose traveled to the big screen. 20th Century Fox purchased the film rights, and to direct, the studio hired Mark Robeson, whose hits included Peyton Place. With Valley of the Dolls, Robeson was determined to make a serious look at the harsh reality behind show business glamour. His first challenge was casting the story's juicy lead roles.
Jackie Suzanne had wanted Betty Davis to play Helen Lawson. She wanted Elvis Presley to play Tony Pollard. She wanted Mia Farrow as Ann Wells.
Although Betty Davis openly sought the role of Helen Lawson, Robeson had someone else in mind for the part. 44-year-old Judy Garland. Like the fictional Helen, Judy was show business royalty. But unlike the character in the novel, Garland was fragile and insecure, plagued by a history of chemical dependency.
She was unreliable. She was popping pills. She was doing everything that the characters in Valley of the Dolls were doing.
But by 1967, Garland was hungry to make a comeback, and Robeson decided to take the risk. Judy got the part, and on March 2nd, she faced the press with Jacqueline Suzanne at her side.
I don't think any actress could get a better role. I think there's a good chance to sing one song, and yet I don't have to depend upon singing. I like to act too, so I think it's going to be good. I hope I'm good in it.
The book deals with pills to some extent. Have you found that prevalent around show business people?
Well, I find it prevalent around newspaper people too.
Soundcheck 833.
On April 14th, 1967, Judy Garland reported to work to make this rarely seen wardrobe test.
Without a cigarette and a blindfold.
The superstar was in good spirits, but years of intense dieting had left her physically emaciated. Her weakness was also apparent when she recorded her big musical number for the film, a newly written tune called I'll Plant My Own Tree.
I'll plant my own tree and I'll make it grow. My tree will not be just one in a row. My tree will offer shade when strangers go by. If you're a stranger, brother, well, so am I. Come tomorrow, all the time.
Although Garland poured her heart into the session, her voice and her confidence were far from steady. And although no one knew it at the time, this rarely heard recording would be Judy Garland's final musical session for a motion picture.
Make it
When Backstory returns, the Valley of the Dolls cast gets down and dirty, while a superstar fights to survive.